We have with us a senior BJP leader and Union Minister, Mr. Hardeep Puri. Mr. Puri, thank you so much for agreeing for this interview. Welcome to PTI. I'll start right away. As you know, the Prime Minister has recently said that BJP is going to win 370 seats. Is that really realistic, you think?
I think most of the numbers that the Prime Minister puts out, they are not only realistic, but I think if you have to make an analysis of realism, they tend to be conservative. And our performance invariably has been better than that. So that is true of the kind of things that we have talked about in the past. For instance, in the year 2014, when we had a miserable failure on the biofuels blending front, and the previous 10 years we were not able to achieve even 1.5% biofuel blending in 10 of our states and union territories. Along came the Prime Minister and he said, we are going to change that, we're going to do 12%, 10% blending by November 2022, and 20% blending by 2030. We did the 10% target, we met it 5 months before time, and the 20% target of 2035 we brought to 2025. So, 5 years in run. So my experience of the Honorable Prime Minister is that his statements on target dates are invariably the result of very deep and thorough research and many inputs which he's got from many people. And then he puts a overall political stamp on it. For instance, that we should be a Viksit Bharat or a developed country by 2047. I think no matter which yardstick you look at, we'll be a developed country well before that. If you look at our Paris commitments, we are the only country in the world which has met those commitments. Net zero by 2070. Again, I think my OMCs are already talking about net zero by 2035, 40 and 2045. So I think on the political arena, I think as he himself says, an election has to be fought. An election has to be the basis of an interaction with people. That's why you find that when we talk about Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra, we talk about the Modi Ke Guarantee, it's not based on I am better than you. It is that he has essentially operationalized from Sarvodaya to Antyodaya. That is, you take the benefits of development to the most marginalized section of our people. And I can give you several examples. 11 crore toilets. And whom does it help? The dignity of the girl child. 4 crore Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, if you sanction both the Grameen and the urban. Swanidhi scheme, which is for the street vendor. During the pandemic, the most vulnerable section were the street vendors. Because if you are a senior editor, you will get your salary irrespective of whether a channel runs or a newspaper runs. Your salary is not going to be stopped. If you are in the agricultural sector, you will have food. If you are working in a company, most likely you'll go on getting your salary. But a street vendor, for every day he has to go to a money lender who will charge him exorbitant rates, sometimes 18%. He has to make do with his, wares, selling them from morning to evening. But what did he do? There was an economic lockdown. So very fast rolled out scheme, the Swanidhi scheme. Today there are something like 65 to 68 lakh beneficiaries of that scheme. I asked myself a question. I asked the Street Vendors Association, their national president and office bearer, how many are there? Nobody knows. But not much more than that. So scheme started, rolled out very quickly. It's a scheme of microfinance, but it is much more than that. During the pandemic, most of them were broke. They were in deep debt. So the first kisht or installment of 10,000, they utilized to repay their past debt. Then if they paid it back in time, they got a second installment of 20,000, paid it back in time, no interest. Then they got their third installment of 50,000. Something like 11,000 crores have already been spent on disbursing loans. So the PM is very, not only conservative, but his realism tends to go on the conservative side.
So you're saying that the 370 is actually a conservative figure?
Yeah.
You'll exceed that by...
I'm just going, and I travel relentlessly around the country. Yesterday and today I was in different places, parts of I was in Mumbai, then I was in a South Indian city, I was in Chennai. What I see in terms of public response, even in a place like Tamil Nadu, is unbelievable.
So where do you think the extra seats will come from? Are the southern states the target?
No, I see, you can't get into an explanation in terms of exact count just now, because the correct thing to do is first to allow the contours to establish who's fighting whom. I mean, if you and I had this conversation, say, 3 months ago, we would have been talking about something called an India alliance, all right? And I would have told you at that point of time that I will make an assessment based on what kind of seat sharing formulas they can come to. And what we've seen of a seat sharing formula that has unfolded so far, and now with 10 more, 15 days more to go, nothing is going to come. So in many of those contests, it becomes much easier. I mean, if the whole world, in terms of an India alliance, had combined against the BJP, I would have said, all right, let's look at the numbers. Let's look at Delhi, for instance. I mean, we have 7 seats in Delhi. I'm not making any prediction, but if you look at the turnout last election and the vote share of the BJP in the last election, the combined votes of the AAM and the Congress party don't add up to the BJP votes last. That's a simple point I'm making. Will that be different? I don't know. Today, I think you should allow the thing. I think one of the conversations that we were having with your colleagues, who all are joining the BJP, that again is a matter making for great excitement, because what you saw happening in Uttar Pradesh, in terms of the Samajwadi Party, people leaving them, the Bahujan Samaj Party MPs joining us, leaving Bahujan Samaj Party and joining us. It happened to the RLD some time ago. They've joined the India Alliance, NDA Alliance. You saw what's happening in Himachal. I think I would go into a granular analysis of how many seats per state, etc., a little later. But if you look at the overall narrative, the wave is in this direction, in terms of the NDA.
Now you mentioned Delhi, where the AAP and Congress have come up with a seat sharing agreement. But when you look at Punjab, they are against each other. So how does a common man deal with that conundrum?
No, you're 100. You're spot on. But I would go a step further. What is the genesis or the birth point of the Aam Aadmi Party? To me, the Aam Aadmi Party grew out of the Anna Hazare Andolan. It was an Andolan specifically targeted at the corruption in the Congress Party. Now, 2 things have happened. Today, if you were a Congress Karyakarta, you would say कि यार ये हमसे ज़्यादा भ्रष्ट लोग ले आए आप. Because I think the Kejriwal, the fact that you've got some ministers locked up for extended periods of time, and you have a Congress against whom you've waged a war. So we have 2 parties. One, you fought a battle against corruption and against those people. Then you joined them. So what is the cadre in either of the parties to make, number one? Plus, you have not been able to come to terms with that in Punjab. Now, whether it's good or bad, I don't know. But I can tell you, if you have, somebody told me, आप भी तो बाहर से लोग लेते हैं. अरे भाई, हमारा बाहर से लोगों को लेने का और ये 2 राजनीतिक दलों का गठबंधन are 2 fundamentally different things. I have somebody coming in, आप white. So they said, नहीं आप अरे एक मेरे को केस बताओ, बाहर से कुछ लोग आए हों, हमारे साथ जुड़े हों, या उनके जो केसेस है क्या चले गए हैं? Not at all. Maybe there's expectation by them. But I am not aware of anybody in the BJP who gets around and says, okay, you join us and I will forget about that. Secondly, many of these cases which are being pursued by the respective agencies, the authorization and motivation has come from the courts. I mean, this is what happened in West Bengal. This is what happened in other cases. The courts are directing. So it's not as if we are using that as a leverage point. But in the case of the Aam Aadmi Party in Congress, it's a particularly, how would I say, an alliance full of contradiction. It's actually anchored in contradiction. So I would like to see what those who have earlier talked about, in terms of accommodation space, how it's going to do. And I think we might have a situation where the Aam Aadmi people will not vote for the Congress candidate and the Congress people will not vote for. I see that. I was with a TV anchor this morning in a breakfast I was hosting, and this is on camera. They say something when the camera is off, and say it's a different ball game.
Well, as I say, politics makes strange bedfellows. So this is one example, I suppose. Are you seeing Congress, taking Congress a little bit more seriously because they are now part of the India alliance? Will that strengthen them in any way?
I don't know. I think this is a question a veteran journalist like you should answer. I have a slightly different experience. If you have pretensions of being an all India and a national party, which the Congress is, make no mistake. I mean, it's a very major contribution to the Indian freedom struggle, etc. And they were, out of the 75 years, if you look at the total history from 47, bulk of the time they've been in power. Entering into an alliance is not a bad thing. But if you enter into an alliance as a junior partner, then it's something you have to answer. For instance, we were in a not so happy alliance in Punjab, the Gadbandhan we had with the Akalis. There are something like 117 seats in the Punjab Assembly, and the BJP only fought 21, 22 seats. I'm not saying alliance good or bad, forget that. Fact is, we were the junior partner. And the Akalis turned around and said, no, we are the senior partners because we are the representatives of the Sikhs. Who gave them that title to be represented? I feel I'm a very proud Sikh. I may not conform to their concept of Sikhism, but I think, my desire to go to Gurdwara or keep a Darbar Sahib at home, and my mother used to, every day pray in the morning and then Santokna in the evening. That's a very personal thing. But now today, that group, if you look at what they're doing, suddenly they become representatives of the Sikhs, then they become representatives of the Kisan. Wait a minute. We are proud Punjabis. Punjab has contributed to the national effort. Punjab's contribution in terms of personnel to the armed forces is second to none. And yet we're only so much, the Sikhs are only such a small percentage of the population. So who gives anybody the right to say, I am this thing? This is what is going to happen to the Congress party. If you get into an alliance, let's say hypothetically, with a party like the TMC, and the TMC is only willing to give you 2 or 3 seats, or you get into an alliance with the Samajwadi Party in UP. But let me give you some statistics on UP. I saw some figures the other day when I saw 17 seats coming to the Congress. So I did a granular analysis. You won't believe this, 12 of them zamanat zabt hui thi, out of those 17. And in the remaining seats, vote share was between 1 and 7%. I'm not saying, why should I say 370, kam bhi aayenge, zyada bhi aayenge. But if you are looking at odds in a election forecasting scenario, you will say, bhai, isse bahut zyada to nahi aayenge. Agar पिछले 10-12 सीटों में जमानत जब्त हुई थी, तो जमानत जब्त होने से winning share तक तो पहुंचना, it will require a Herculean this thing. Secondly, one of the tendencies we should be very careful about. Who is claiming tickets? Why is there a rush coming to the BJP? I'm being very frank, because people want a BJP ticket. Okay, I am always very, very objective on this. Look, I've had a pass with the Vidyarthi Parishad. I was a student at Delhi University. Before I taught at Delhi University College, I was a student at Hindu College. I fought an election. It was openly known that I had ABVP support. All right? It was more non-political at that point of time. But when I wanted to join the BJP, when I retired from the Foreign Service, a friend of mine said कि नहीं, मुझे पता भाजपा आपके दिल में, but formally join करना पड़ेगा. मैं join करने को तैयार हूँ. पर मैंने join किया था 2013 में. और मैं इलेक्शन लड़ा हूं 2019 में. वो 6 साल का टाइम भी तो था बीच में, जहां पे I used to appear on TV every evening. I was on the TV show. So I think some of the thing which is going on, a lot of people are coming, joining day after tomorrow and asking for a ticket a week later. That will sort itself out. Some people we will want, some people. But the BJP, and this is my view, BJP is not only the world's largest political party by far, but its inner functioning is democratic but predictable. Here you subscribe, you get the benefit, a large parivar, you can have people, you can reach out to people, you can join you can join the Mahila Morcha, you can join the Yuva Morcha, you can join any of these others. But the most important thing is you have a consistent commitment. Many people are coming in after they weighed it in their mind, that they will be part of that long-term commitment.
You made a very valid point that who are the Akalis to represent the Sikhs?
No, they can say I represent, but they can't say that I am the true representative of the Sikhs.
The same thing can be said about the BJP also. the critics say that BJP is not the only representative of the Hindus.
They've never claimed that. No, it's very interesting. I'm a very proud Sikh. My wife is a very proud Hindu. Never have I heard a BJP say that I am the true representative. You believe in Sanatan, okay? That is above all this. But you can say I'm a practicing Hindu. He can be a practicing Muslim. We have no problems with that. But when you come and make a claim that I am the representative of the Muslims or the Sikhs or the, that's when you get into trouble. I don't think BJP needs to do it because in any case, they've got a groundswell.
What's your opinion about what's happening in Himachal Pradesh? There's criticism that BJP is constantly...
No, I think that cynicism is misplaced. You have a very interesting situation in Himachal Pradesh. I think there are partly fault lines within the Congress party. Those fault lines you can see is that the revolt for the CM's job is also there. Along comes BJP. I mean, two candidates tie at 34. One party has come from 40 down to 34. Correct me. The other one has gone up from 25 to 34, get 9. It can't be. It can't be. You have different factors operating in Himachal Pradesh, but I think there's a lot of people. Harsh Mahajan is a case in point. I mean, he was a Congress MLA. I mean, you have a situation in the chief whip of the Samajwadi Party leaves. And the Samajwadi Party has a distinct identity of its own. Their chief whip leaves and comes here. One of their MLAs openly talks about, hum to Ram ke parivar se hai. I mean, so there is a churning in around the country. Look, I travel sometimes on a flight not between Delhi and Lucknow because there Jai Sri Ram is, you know, but in other parts, there is something going wrong. There's more self-confidence. There is more belief that the political system is actually serving the people, that the policies are serving, and frankly, even when you come to, you know, what's good for the people in the short term, the BJP has much more to offer.
One more question about politics before we move on to other things. What about your personal political plans for the future? Would you want to contest?
No, I'm very clear. When I joined the BJP, somebody asked me, was there any discussion? I said, no, there was no discussion because I was always in part of the BJP. I mean, one person asked me, आप जब हमारे लोग जाया करते थे आपसे मिलने, आप उन बड़े हमारे नेता आपके यहाँ रहा करते थे, वो क्या है? तो मैंने कहा मेरा विद्यार्थी परिषद के साथ बहुत पुराना संबंध है. तो ये कब से? So I said, I named the date. He said, I wasn't even born then. So I have an old association. When I joined the BJP in 2013, I didn't say I wanted to this thing. Somebody asked me, आप contest करोगे? This is in 2013. मैंने कहा मैं करूँगा. I'm as a कार्यकर्ता willing to do anything. In 2014, people asked me, will you contest Lok Sabha from Delhi? I said happily. Party thought it not fit to give me a ticket because there are many other claimants. A lot of people came along with me, you know, etc. And in fact, I remember the talk in Delhi at that time was कि भाई ये 13 एस्पिरेंट्स है दिल्ली के और 7 सीट है, इसमें तो 6 से ज़्यादा तो पैराशूटिस्ट है. I was then considered a parachutist क्योंकि बाहर से आ गया था. In 2019, I had no desire to contest because I was already a Rajya Sabha MP, etc. Today, I've got 4 years to go. I'm already 72 years old. And, you know, I'm quite happy where I am. But as I said, this is a party where I think if the aspirants go looking for a ticket, it's not a very... you must make your interest known. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm very happy, both at this age and in terms of the workload that's been given.
So you would be reluctant if offered the ticket?
I wouldn't say the word reluctant. I would say that I think the party has enough other candidates.
Right. One other thing about, you know, diplomats coming into politics. More and more diplomats are coming in. There are 2 more names that are being floated. What do you make of this trend?
I am not sure that more diplomats are coming in now than they were earlier. I think what's happening today is that a lot of more professionals are coming in and you have engineers, doctors. I mean, our party chief in Tamil Nadu, Annamalai, is an ex-police officer. No, I'm saying in the cabinet, I think what stands out is in the cabinet today, we've got 4. 2 ex-foreign service people and 2 ex-IAS officers. So 4 seems 4 out of 25 or 26 is a reasonably pronounced number. But there have been people earlier, K.R. Narayanan, Natwar Singh, you have Manishankar Iyer, you had so many. But as we go along, I think there will be people from different professions who will want to join the political fray in order to be able to continue with what. Secondly, I think somewhere somebody will have to take a look at this. Most people who retire at the age of 60, they still have a lot of fire in their belly. So they will go to the corporate sector, they will go into reading and writing books, even startups. I mean, one of the things I wanted to do when I retired in 2013 was to concentrate on the health and education sector. But then, things change, you get drawn into situations.
I'm very curious to know your opinion about the farmers' protest that's going on. How is that going to play out? How is it going to end?
Well,
the demand about the minimum support price.
First of all, if you look at what the Prime Minister has done for the farmers, that can be codified. What he has done in terms of those 300, every 3 months the payments, that they are getting, etc., into their accounts. What he has done to ensure that fertilizer prices are available low, the availability of nano fertilizer instead of urea, what he has done for the farming community in general. But the operative point here is that I think the main message from the Prime Minister and the government is we are willing to discuss other things as well. We are willing to do that. But the position cannot be that you agree to all my demands and I will not move. So our message to the farmers is the group of ministers which was meeting them, I think my friends Arjun Munda, Piyush Goyal and Nityanand Rai, they're willing to meet them again. And I'm very confident that, a resolution should be found and will be found.
Is there any political coloration to the whole protest?
I don't want to go into that. I think it's very easy to label people and to do that when some people say there is motivation from outside. Let's leave that aside. I mean, the farming community is ours. We are very proud of what the farmers have done in terms of Anndatas. Now they are also Urja Datas because from agricultural we make ethanol and so on.
Just a couple of questions about your ministries. The sustainable aviation fuel, where is that going?
I'll tell you two things I just inaugurated a SAF plant in Pune. A very interesting thing there is that if the European Union goes into what is called mandating that 5% of all the fuel that is put there have to be sustainable, then I can say that the prospects for sustainable aviation fuel in India are exceptionally bright, and we are going in that direction. I think the real story now is biofuels, compressed biogas, and green hydrogen.
Great. Housing Ministry, is there any plan to develop urban housing in Lakshadweep? The Prime Minister has been putting special emphasis.
I'll tell you, just wait for what happens after this, because I don't want to be anticipating either the manifesto or what the government's plans are. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.